Currently seeing temperatures right around 18 degrees here. And the forecast today for Groundhog Day is for sunshine and a high chance of shadows. Yes, we're likely going to be seeing a few more weeks of winter here, but we're going to leave this up to Miss G to make this forecast for us. And I'm just amazed here. She's just finally out of the burrow. She's been in a semi-hibernation, and she's getting ready for her big day in front of a big crowd in Lincoln. Live in Lincoln, I'm meteorologist Joe Joyce. Back to you.
I like how you're whispering, Joe, is to not disturb Ms. G. It's very respectful. We really appreciate that because she is a big deal.
Absolutely. She is absolutely a big deal, and cannot wait to finally get her forecast. I feel like I'm getting smarter just by being here.
That's true. Definitely true. Joe, thank you. We'll check back in a few minutes with you on that. The real question about what's going to happen with the forecast is happening over in Lincoln, Mass. today at Drumlin Farm, where Joe Joyce is watching the true expert today. She is awake. She's having breakfast. And most importantly, Joe, she's lost some weight. But I don't know why that's important. You said it before.
Well, you got to look fabulous on this big day, Kate. You know that. But, we are trying to make Miss G the official state groundhog here in Massachusetts. There's a bill going through, and it just might take a couple months before that happens. But either way, she is ours. And there she is. She's alive and awake, and they're saying that this is the most active we've seen her on this special day as she's coming out of her hibernation. Joining me now is Tia Pinney. She's the senior naturalist at the Mass Audubon here at Drumlin Farm. And what makes a groundhog the expert in weather forecasting?
Great question, Joe. So the groundhog as the expert is really just a mistake more than anything. In Europe, the Germans were used to using a badger as their prognosticator. And when they got to Pennsylvania, there were no badgers. So they found instead the North American woodchuck and said, well, close enough. We'll use that.
And you said that she's the only female groundhog?
That is correct. She's the only female groundhog prognosticating in the U.S. that we know of. Everybody else are males.
All right. Well, that figures. It's a man's world, I guess, but not here in Massachusetts. We have our own Miss G, and now I'm hearing talk of Punxsutawney Phil. Let's see what he has to say. Of course, all our ears are going to be right here, Miss G, at 10 o'clock. Live in Lincoln, I'm meteorologist Joe Joyce, WBZ News. Back to you, Kate.
All right, Joe and Barry, I bet nobody asks about Phil's weight, if he's lost weight.
Absolutely, no question about it.
All right, well, it's Groundhog Day around here, and Punxsutawney Phil down in Pennsylvania has not seen his shadow, which is rare.
That is, I'm shocked. I'm so shocked that he did not see his shadow.
It means an early spring, but the real question is, what does the Massachusetts groundhog have to say? Miss G is in Lincoln at Drumlin Farms, where Joe Joyce is watching her very closely. And you need to tell her, Joe, that Phil did not see his shadow, so she should probably make the same decision so that spring can come early here in Massachusetts.
Okay, Miss G, the pressure's on. You better give us a spring-like forecast. Good luck. I'm sure Miss G is going to give us a more New England feel to her forecast as we are seeing bright sunshine in place. A good chance that Miss G is going to be seeing her shadow this morning as she gives her forecast at 10 o'clock this morning. Punxsutawney Phil, he's been doing this since about 1887, and about 100 times he has seen his shadow, and only 15 times has he not seen his shadow. So it's a very rare phenomenon for a groundhog to not see their shadow. So not many times are we seeing an early spring, and I'm sure right here at Drumlin Farm, at Mass Audubon Drumlin Farm here in Lincoln, we're going to be seeing Miss G giving her forecast. I'm sure she's going to have a colder scenario. This is what you call a second opinion to the weather forecast, and we will have more details of the whereabouts of Miss G, what she's thinking, how she's feeling, all coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you, Kate.
All right, she's looking pretty energized. She's moving around a lot, Joe, so I'm feeling good. All right, thank you, Joe. That's right in line with Punxsutawney Phil saying an early spring.
Right on the money.
But let's go now live to Lincoln and Drumlin Farm, where Joe Joyce is there with the real expert. We're talking about Ms. G, Massachusetts' own Punxsutawney Phil, where she is up and about. She's running around. She's trimmed. She's excited, Joe.
Yeah, look at her go. She's been very active here this morning. She's out of her hibernation, and she's getting ready for the big forecast coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. We'll see if she has a second opinion to what Punxsutawney Phil had to say. I'm sure she's going to give her own little New England forecast, and that's why we have her, right? We want that second opinion. We want that local feel. And joining me right now is a special guest, former meteorologist here at WBZ News, Mish Michaels. Welcome, Mish. Now, you've gotten out of TV news for a little bit, and you have been the driving force to make Miss G the local state groundhog.
That's right. Official state groundhog. As you can see, I've still been very busy. Ms. G was one of the characters I met while working back the years at WBZ, and it seemed to me that Punxsutawney Phil didn't have any local expertise, so we really needed somebody, one of our own, and so Ms. G has been here at Drumlin Farm for about 10 years, and she's running for official state groundhog. Now that my daughter is 6, we're doing this little project together with her elementary school, and we're hoping to make her official so that all the TV cameras come to her instead of Punxsutawney Phil on February 2nd.
Now, is Miss G going to be uncontested?
So far, there are no opponents, no other people running for the office, so no other critters, no other furry critters.
Well, Mish, thank you for your good work you're doing. We miss you. We hope to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
And live from Lincoln and Miss G, we're waiting for the forecast. Back to you, Kate.
All right, Joe. Well, hopefully there's no mudslinging in this contest because things can get ugly in Massachusetts politics. But we want Miss G to have kind of an easy, open lane to the office.
I can't wait for that unveiling of the seasonal forecast. What, 10 o'clock this morning?
10 o'clock, we'll know. So we have one thumbs up from Phil. Hopefully Miss G will give us another early thumbs up on
exciting day.
The spring forecast. So fun stuff. We're having a good time this morning.
If you thought we'd get an early break from winter, no such luck.
Yeah, we were following this all day long yesterday. So who told you first? None other than Ms. G, not Mrs. G, like Joe was calling her all yesterday. She's not, in fact, married. At Lincoln's Drumlin Farm, despite a bad prediction from Punxsutawney Phil, Ms. G, well, actually, Punxsutawney Phil said that spring was going to come early. Ms. G did see her shadow there in the bright sun at Drumlin Farm. Unfortunately, that means we've got 6 more weeks of winter. But you were there with her, Joe. She was running around. She was feisty. She was ready to go. You knew something like this was going to happen.
And she put on a great show for everybody. I tell you what, the crowds continue to get bigger and bigger there at Drumlin Farm. We, thanks to the leadership of Mish Michaels and the legislation to push this groundhog through to become the official state groundhog. Maybe someday we'll have our own little Punxsutawney right there at Drumlin
I think
Farm.
we should. I think everyone should just go. We'll just take the title from Pennsylvania. We'll go to Drumlin Farm. Drumlin Farms is awesome.
Yep.
I love that place. So
She looked just fantastic.
she did. She said she lost a little weight. Good for her. All right, Joe. Thank you.